I don't know if I can be a therapist and also like have information about literature at the same time.
Oh, wait, who was I? Oh, I didn't do prep. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Wait, who are you supposed to be? Oh, wait, no, don't say it. So this is a group therapy session, and the theme is that everybody has a prophecy that they don't want to, like maybe don't want to fulfill, or either way, they have a prophecy, and then they're struggling with that. Some people like it less than others. Yes. So we're all, for the viewers, we've all picked characters from literature, and we're all playing them, and Allison is playing herself, I suppose, the therapist of this group session of prophecy people. Yeah, and then she's trying to guess who we are at the same time, as well as giving counseling.
So I want to welcome everybody to the group. I'm really glad to see you all here, and I hope we'll be able to do some good work together. Before we start, I want to go over a few important things. The first is about confidentiality and privacy. Obviously, we're going to talk about some really important stuff here, and it's important for everybody to feel like they can be honest and open with everything they need to share. And so because of that, I want to ask that everything that we talk about here in therapy is confidential and private, and we don't share anybody else's information with people in our own lives. But if there is anything that you're struggling with and want to talk about more, feel free to see me after group, and we can always talk about it. But it's just important that we have this be a really safe space, and that we're able to talk about everything here, and that it gets to, what having therapy stays in therapy. I also won't share anything with anybody. Unless I'm worried about safety. So if I'm ever worried about somebody hurting themselves seriously or somebody else, if I'm ever worried about abuse or neglect of a minor, an elderly person, or somebody with disabilities, we share that. But otherwise, everything that we talk about here gets to stay really private and really safe in this space, okay?
But the government hears everything, man. They see and hear everything. That's all I can tell you. I don't know if I can trust that.
I definitely hear that. It can be really hard to feel safe when we're sharing information, especially really personal information like we talk about in therapy.
They're always watching.
And sometimes in therapy, really big feelings come up, and that's okay. It's okay to have big feelings. It's okay to express those feelings. But as this is a group and we want it to be safe for everyone, I really hope that we'll all be able to be respectful, be patient with each other, because we're all kind of coming at this in our own place. So with that, I was hoping each of you could introduce yourself and why you've decided to come to this group. This is a group all about making meaning of our lives and understanding where we're coming from and where we hope to go. So I would like to hear from Christina first. Where are you hoping to go, and what are you hoping to get out of this group?
Well, I have had this prophecy, not my whole life, but for quite a bit, at least a day or two. And it, has already really affected my marriage and also my career. I thought, I bear a charmed life, but also, I'm afraid to think about what I've done and what I may do. It's just a lot to take on at once. I'm glad to know, I'm not, I don't, you're talking about big emotions. I don't think that emotions are really my issue. I just think that there's so much that I want to accomplish per se. So I think that I would like to find a way to do what I'm supposed to do, not without hurting others, but maybe hurting as few people as possible. And maybe also how to shut up my wife. That's another side of it.
Okay, so it definitely sounds like a lot of it for you is coming on really fast. You're trying to figure out your place in the world. You're trying to figure out what next steps are. It sounds like sometimes it's really hard trying to balance that with how other people in your life see you and what other people in your life expect from you. That must be really hard trying to process all of that all at once. I bet some of you else in the group could understand, how hard it is to balance all of those expectations from the outside world. Murat, do you have any experiences of trying to balance outside expectations, or what brings you to this group?
Oh man, I have to say I'm tired of outside expectations, man. I'm just gonna tell you. I feel like I'm being driven by outside expectations, but I just want to enjoy my time. And I can live up to these expectations quite easily. It's just that that's not a priority for me right now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, like you want to have control over your life. You don't want other people to be in charge.
You know? It always feels like I'm being driven, but like I got my own priority. I got my own life. Okay? Just because I can doesn't mean I will. And if I'm gonna do something, you better respect me for it.
Gotcha. So we want to feel that appreciation from others. That's a universal experience. And it sounds like when we're talking about making meaning of life, you want to be able to make your own meaning. You don't want other people to tell you what that purpose is.
Exactly. You know what? All the others, they can go die for all I care. Honestly, it's not my business.
Is that something you've ever thought about? Like, have you ever thought about hurting other people or letting other people get hurt?
I feel that it is a part of life that we need to accept. It is not something I have enjoyed doing.
So it sounds like there's been a lot of tough decisions in your life, huh?
I don't know. Things have been pretty easy, frankly. It's just that it was never something I wanted to do. It was never difficult. Before I even started my job, I feel like all decisions were already kind of made for me. I'm just the top of my company, so like obviously they're gonna keep me around. It's just that it feels like upper management really likes to push their own agenda. And you know what? I finally said I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I moved to a different country. I'm done with all this. I'm tired. They can make their own sales. They can do their own business.
It must be so hard adapting to a whole new country, a whole new culture, a whole new lifestyle, and also trying to contend with all of those expectations that the outside world has for you. Darian, can you share a little bit about why you're here today?
Yeah, big emotions for sure. I feel like there's like constant loss in my life, and then the expectations, like you were saying, are just piling up, and now there's this prophecy and I'm getting these awful nightmares all the time, and there's just voices in my head, and you're talking about like not having to hurt people, but like there's this bully who I think needs to be taken down, and it just seems like it has to be on me to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a really strong sense of justice. Is that somebody who's bullied you or other people?
It feels like it's really targeting me, but it's everyone though. I mean, yeah, basically, if you don't think the same way that this bully does, like, they'll come after you, and they just like run on fear, so I try to do my best to not let it get to me, but like I do gotta say, like, I'm scared, and I have like a lot of weight, I feel like, on my shoulders constantly.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're trying to keep other people safe, you're trying to keep yourself safe. That's a lot of pressure.
Absolutely.
And then we talked about loss earlier. Would you like to share a little bit about that loss?
Oh man. Let's see. I mean, the big thing, my parents have been dead since I was really young. That's been pretty rough because, there's a lot of people who are like, your parents were so great, and like, I wish you could have spent time with them. And I'm always like, yeah, me too, And then, yeah, I've had some friends die, and yeah, it's a lot. Some like other, I'd say more extended family, more or less.
Sounds like a lot of loss, a lot of different kinds of loss, and trying to contend with, it sounds like trying to contend with living up to your parents' memory as well as all of the expectations the outside world has for you.
Yeah. Well, it's like I don't want them to have died in vain,
Oh, that's so much to carry for one person, especially growing up, carrying all of that.
Yeah, it's been pretty hard. I'm just trying to like have a normal life, and it just keeps getting like messed up by all of these. these problems.
So there's all of these outside expectations, all of these family expectations, all of these kind of your own goals for yourself, and you just want to enjoy life at the same time. It's so much to balance all at the same time. Colin, would you share next? What brings you here to group?
So we're talking a lot about prophecies today, and I've had a lot of prophecies in my life, and the one that has been in my head lately has been this prophecy that, so I'm in charge, I run a whole city. The guy who was in charge before died under mysterious circumstances. And I want to solve this murder. I want to make my city better again by bringing justice to it. I've done so much for my city, and sometimes it feels like these prophecies aren't real. Sometimes it feels like we sort of trick ourselves into thinking that there's prophecies when there aren't really prophecies. And these are the kind of things that create this city that could not rule itself, that could not solve its own problems, find its own murderer of its governor. And that's frustrating. The fact that a person like me has to come in and solve all their problems for them.
I'm hearing a lot of frustration that you're being expected to take on the burden of so many people, that they could be doing a lot of this work, but it feels like you've had this burden placed upon you to do all of this work for all of these people.
It really feels that way.
Yeah. Well, and I hear from you also that kind of question about where does this meaning come from? And I think that's a lot of what we'll talk about today. Who gets to decide what is real and what isn't real? And who gets to decide what the expectations are on our life? And I know, a lot of this group is about kind of figuring out our own meaning for ourselves and not letting other people from the outside tell us what we should be expected to do or what meaning our life has. But could you speak a little bit more about how it's hard to know what expectations are real and what are just kind of, made up?
All of us have prophecies here. As far as I know, all of us have these things that it feels like everyone is telling us is going to happen, but they don't always happen. You can walk away. You can make these prophecies not happen. And I am telling you, there is a dread that comes with these prophecies. And that is a dread that I carry in my heart every day. But I took actions to make these prophecies not happen.
Wow. So it really sounds like you're talking about kind of claiming power over your own life and having that accountability and being able to make your own choices. That's really, really powerful. I think we'll definitely come back to that and that idea of making our own choices free of all of those outside expectations. I think we definitely will. Phoebe, could you share a little bit before we move on about what brings you to group today?
Well, I'm not really struggling with my purpose in life or anything like that, but there is a prophecy before me, and, it's kind of grim, and I don't want to do it, but I have to. And my friends are outwardly supportive, but, they also kind of, aren't the most loyal, which isn't great. And then I guess I've always been pretty close to my parents, and so I'm kind of doing this for their approval and for everybody else too, but yeah, it feels just kind of like I'm being led to be I'm being set up to be hurt. And I don't really have any control in the situation. I'm just kind of being led to be slaughtered. And it's
Wow.
I am just really stressed about that. And yeah, the other night I was thinking about it and journaling, and I was sweating a lot, and I even sweat blood.
Okay. That sounds like a really scary experience.
Yeah.
And I hear from you kind of the opposite to what Colin was saying of feeling completely powerless, of not feeling like you have any way to counteract what other people expect from you.
Yeah. Because I know the prophecy is going to come true.
What makes you so certain?
Yes.
Colin, would you mind sharing with the rest of us what your thought was just there?
It doesn't have to. The prophecy. Phoebe said that it has to happen.
It must.
But it does not have to happen. I don't
understand. What was your response?
Things. These fantasies. I have so many examples of prophecies that have not come true.
In your own life?
In my own life.
Well. But Colin, it sounds like you've seen a lot of expectations that have been broken, but it sounds like, Phoebe, you feel really strongly that what people expect has to happen. Where do you think that comes from in your life?
My life is a life unlike any other. I don't even know where to start with my life, where you could even say. It's just, I understand the fabric of our reality. And these things that were told long ago are fulfilled today in your presence, in my body.
How did your parents engage with these expectations, and how did they let you know about the expectations that they had for you?
I've always known this is kind of my dad's fault. I'm kind of like covering up his mistake. I don't know. My mom's been pretty cool about it. She's supportive. My stepdad's not really in the picture.
It sounds like for you, there's a lot of blame on your father.
Yeah, but I love him. We're super close. It's like we're basically one. Know anything about him?
I'm curious what anybody else has to say about their experience with their parents. Is there anybody who'd like to share?
I mean, let me tell you.
Murat?
Ever since I was a kid, it was like, it be my mom, my dad, and sure, like, I can do what they ask me to do. Yes, I can go have that meeting. And yes, I can maybe say I'm sorry to my asshole boss. But at the end of the day, no matter how this works out, it's going to end in one way. But even though that is the only direction I can go, it feels like knowing that I'm going to eventually make it to the top, it makes me appreciate these days more. Because this might be my last day at my current position. And everything is more beautiful because we're just kind of destined, or maybe doomed. I'm at least doomed to eventually get there. I was born to make sure that this company becomes as strong and as big as it can possibly be. And now that I'm on my way to upper management, it's like, it's not like my life had any other purpose.
I'm wondering if anybody else has any feelings about either parental expectations or about the acceptance of what's expected of us.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm just a little jealous that you've got parents to complain about. But I do feel like, I for sure have some good chosen family, I would say. Like maybe they do still have expectations for me, my parents, but then it's like, so does, the whole rest of the world basically has a lot of expectations for me. Sometimes it does feel like the weight that I have is even too big for them, like for me to share with them. And so there are times when I feel really isolated, even though I do have people, and that can be pretty hard. I feel really like angry sometimes, and we have had some big blowout fights and haven't talked for a while, but we've mostly been able to like get back together, and usually they kind of help me work out, what I need to do next.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's there's part of you that holds back because you're worried about them having to share that weight with you. And it sounds like you've had to carry so much for your whole life all on your own that it must be pretty uncomfortable to share that weight. Yeah, it's definitely difficult. And it really makes me think about this group and how we're all kind of sharing the weight together. And I wonder, how it feels for all of us to share here in this group the weight that we've been carrying for so long, especially knowing that there are other people who understand a little bit. And I know, Christina, we haven't heard from you in a little while. How has it felt for you to share a little bit? And is there more that you'd like to share?
It's been good. I've only really been able to share with my wife, who I love her. I call her my little woodchuck. But she also just doesn't get it. Also, she really wants me to go far in life, which I want to do that too. But, she's not the one who has this weight on her shoulders. And she's she acts like she does, she takes it really hard. And she, is pushing me. But who can be all these things at once, amazed and temperate and furious, loyal and neutral, everything she needs me to be. It's all just day after day. And at the same time hiding it from everybody, putting on this false face, because no one can know about this. And it's cool that I get to talk about it with everybody here, but it's a lot of pressure on me. And, my wife keeps being you can do it. You can be, the next CEO. And there's this opening coming up, but, well, not coming up, but it will come up. She's go for it. And I'm well, I don't know. I just got a promotion. I just got a raise. It's so much at once. And she's just chilling, at home, just, but she is supportive. She's supportive. I think she doesn't quite see all of the hardships that come with the good parts,
If you could share one thing with your wife, what would you want to tell her so she could understand a little bit better how much weight is on your shoulders?
That's a good question. I think I would just say there's talking about something and then there's doing something. There's seeing a thing and then using that thing to do a thing. Am I making sense? It's very action versus words, and she's very words. And yeah, she makes me do the action, which I wouldn't wish this on anybody, but she just doesn't see the full picture.
Yeah, there's a different weight that comes with being the one to carry out an action. And it really sounds like you're torn because you want her to fully understand so you can share this weight with her, but you also want to protect her from that. Mm-hmm. That must be so hard trying to balance those two impulses. I hear a theme coming out of sharing that weight with others, and I'm curious, for each of you, who do you like to share with, and what would you say to them if you could, if you weren't worried about hurting their feelings or burdening them or impacting your relationship with them? Colin, who would you share with, and what would you share?
I would share with my parents that I love them and that I didn't mean to hurt them. I had to leave them behind because I knew something inside me told me that I would hurt them. So I left. And I would like to tell them that I love them.
Wow. So, it really sounds like you knew they would be hurt either way, whether you stayed or whether you left. You were so scared that they would get hurt.
Yes. And it really, honestly, feels like that's the only option, because I hear what you're saying. It seems like some of us have good prophecies, but for those of us who have terrible prophecies, we just have to shoulder the burden.
Colin, you want to take on so much of that burden for yourself to protect everyone around you. And I wonder how much of that burden really is yours to carry, and how much are other people responsible for?
Maybe people can be responsible for the whole thing, and yet you still have to carry it. Sometimes the mistakes are not your own, that you have to pay the price for. Sometimes this prophecy that you're fulfilling is not because of anything that you may have done, but it's everybody, literally every other human, every other person in the world's problem.
Mm.
And you have to pay for it, and you get hurt.
But you can still make the right choice. And there are right choices and wrong choices. And you don't have to bear the total brunt of your prophecy.
What if that is the right choice?
Yeah, that's what it feels like for me too.
A lot about sacrificing our own happiness for the happiness of others.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to speak for you guys, but everyone else in my company is a jackass. They're incompetent. They can't make a goddamn sale. They can't make a goddamn deal. So it does feel like, at the end of the day, no matter what choice you make, nothing's going to get moved until you do something about it. And your choices, I don't think matter that much, because at the end of the day, everyone else has to rely on you. Because they themselves are either incompetent or just discompetent, or they just don't know what's going on.
And you may rely on me.
Man, you say that. But let me tell you, honey, I know my company's huge, let me tell you.
Come to me. If you're weary and burdened, I'll give you rest.
It feels like the only person I can truly rely on is myself.
Yeah, I think that I agree with that, and I think that like you're also giving and sacrificial. The issue is like my prophecy. While I like most of it, is all. It's not for anyone else, really. It's kind of just like about me and my life and myself, and like quintessentially, it's selfish, which seems like is kind of not the way that some of your prophecies are going, which I think is difficult because it's not that I don't want it to happen, but it's not for anyone else. It actually probably hurts some people. But how am I, like, I don't want to stop it, but should I, or should I kind of just like push it forward so that that's what my wife wants me to do? It's hard to know, because like when a prophecy isn't good for other people, why should I?
It feels like everybody here has a prophecy that they want to come true.
No.
But you're so happy about accepting your fate. So how can you be so happy about accepting your fate and have this prophecy be something
Child,
that you
did
want?
you listen to me sweating blood the other day?
Did you listen?
What does that have to do with anything?
It's a prophecy. How can you fight?
I'm not happy about this. I begged Daddy, take it away. And he didn't.
So did you do anything about it? You can make your own choices. You don't have to rely on Daddy. You can walk away from Daddy.
I cannot.
You can take control of your own life and do something about it. Everybody here sounds like they're doing nothing about it.
I'm doing something.
Nothing.
Doing lots of stuff.
I cried.
Yeah, you cried.
Colin, I've heard a lot of frustration from you, and it sounds like for you it feels so imperative to try and fight against that prophecy.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, there's a big question here about how much do we accept and how much do we kind of follow the path of our life, and how much do we make meaning out of the things that happen to us, and how much do we actively work against them and try to change things that we don't like.
For me, if I have to say, I know that eventually I'm going to get fired. They kind of only need me for this big job to open this new branch, but eventually I know I'm going to get fired. But one thing I really appreciate about where I am right now is that in a lower position, my partner is with me. And my partner makes me feel comfortable. My partner makes me feel really good. And now that I've taken this work hiatus, my partner took that hiatus with me. I heard through the grapevine that there is some layoffs happening. And I thought eventually, before me, my partner will get laid off. for now, all I can really do is take this time off and delay the inevitable as long as I can.
I feel that I've got this I've got someone that I really like, but I just feel like it's too dangerous for them to really be in my life in that way, you know?
Christina, that really resonates with something you were saying earlier about not feeling like your wife can really truly share that burden with you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that she thinks she can. I just know that it will probably crush her, make her go crazy to carry this burden with me, basically. I just don't know if she has it in her, to be honest. And you know, I want to involve her. I feel like if I do, it'll just be a mistake. But at the same time, I don't know if I can do it without her.
Yeah, it's simultaneously we need other people and we also want to protect other people. Colin, I've heard from you a lot of frustration and feeling so isolated in what you've had to carry. And I wonder, is there anyone that you've been able to share your burden with?
Absolutely. My wife is amazing. We share everything together. She basically runs the city with me. And she had an ex who also was able to completely circumvent a prophecy. Another example. I've been able to do it. This man has been able to do it. It happens. It's a thing people can do. You just have to take action. And I don't understand why you won't take action specifically, because it sounds like you think you have a bad prophecy.
I was born to do this.
Yeah, we've heard that a lot today.
I just want to stop here because I don't want anybody to feel like their actions or their choices are being on trial here. I wonder, Phoebe, when Colin's talking about the way that he's taken action and the way that it feels like other people here haven't, how are you feeling?
Colin doesn't yet understand, but perhaps one day his eyes will be opened. All y'all are saying you're having hard times. You want to talk to your partner, your wife. You're having troubles with money, and money will be destroyed anyway. Eventually, you all can just come to me, talk to me. I want to have a relationship with each and every single one of you.
I think I can get behind some of what you're saying for sure. Yeah, you kind of lost me at the money bit, but
I believe in you. I'm pretty sure I believe in you.
it sounds like you're
Pretty good at figuring out puzzles, and it sounds like Phoebe's got a messiah complex.
No.
Well, I don't want to pathologize. Colin, I don't want to pathologize anyone here. I don't want to use any kind of negative language. You know, I think everybody here comes here for the same reason, because we're trying to find meaning in our life and we're trying to follow our purpose. You know, and I don't think we need to be negative about the way that anybody chooses to do that. It sounds like Phoebe and Darian, to some extent, clearly you agree with a lot of what Phoebe had to say. It sounds like, you know, we're talking about sharing this burden, and it sounds like both of you have this really strong impulse to take on the burdens of others.
Yeah, it feels like it's all up to us, I think, based on what I'm hearing and definitely what I'm feeling.
And then, Christina, here for you, it feels like the burden that you're bearing is to your own benefit. And meanwhile, Colin, it sounds like you're trying to throw off that burden because you're the one that it really hurts.
Yeah, I mean, if I'll be honest, I think I want to believe what Colin's saying, that it's up to me. And I think maybe some of it can be. I don't know yet. I'll have to wait and see how it plays out, so to speak. But it's not maybe up to me. Maybe it'll just kind of happen. Yeah. But also it is taking a big toll on me. It's my mental health is I'm not sleeping. It's not good.
You know that, and that's why we're here. And I think we're talking about so many important things today, and we've got a little bit of time left, and I think we talked about, where that burden is carried, who shares it with us, how it intersects with our families, with our parents, with our found families, with the people that we interact on a day-to-day basis, and even with our, the way that we interact with the world at large. And one last thing that I'd like to hear from each of you is, if this prophecy is not truly something that you want to see fulfilled, or it's not where you want to put your energy, or it's not the burden that you want to carry, what would you like your life to look like? What would you like from life? And how can you create that meaning? And if that prophecy is something that you want to fulfill, maybe share a little bit about why it's important to you and what you would like to happen afterwards.
You know what? I'll share. Now, what I want to do, I'm doing right now. I took some time off. I'm having my time with my partner. And to be honest with you, like, the way I was treated in this branch by my dipshit boss, I don't want to go back until he says sorry to me. He owes me an apology. And he's like, you should apologize. Me. Well, you little egghead piece of shit. I don't care what you think, okay? That's what I want to, that's what I feel. But in terms of what I want to do, I want to spend the eternity with my partner. That is what's important to me. And sure, maybe things will happen. Sure, I can make decisions. But at the end of the day, this has been decided for me a long time ago by people up there. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know what kind of business y'all in, but full disclosure, I'm in the condom business. We're one of the big companies. And the branch we're about to open is one of the bigger names in the business, let me tell you. And in this business, you have to be really smart about how you use your money. And when we make this merger happen, when we set this deal done by me, then this whole thing is over for me. I don't care. Nothing is worth it.
I hear that. It just sounds like right now you're really prioritizing self-care. And it sounds like right now it's so hard to even imagine a world without those expectations.
Honestly, I don't even care about these expectations. So, dude, here's me. And then there is this other condom guy. I'll tell you this much. He's a bit known in the business. But this man, he claims he's the king of sales. Let me tell you, the amount of deals I closed, I dragged his ass around his building 7 times a day, every single day. That guy sales, my sales, boom. I ended that fool. But you know what this fool does? Before he gets his ass washed by me, he dares reports my partner. And now my partner's in trouble. And he's about to get kicked out of this company instantly. And I will end him. But then, that's it for me, man. That's it for me. I'm done. Done with this. I'm out.
Oh, so it sounds like a lot of big feelings about everything that you're up against in life.
Yep.
Definitely. We'll definitely talk more about that in future groups. But, you know, is there anyone else you'd like to share about that idea of what would you be doing without this prophecy, or what would you do after this prophecy is fulfilled?
Basically, I guess it's hard to imagine after. I'm not really sure if I'm going to make it through this prophecy. But, you know, I don't want any of this. So, or at least, you know, I know it has to happen and I know I have to do my part in it, but I don't get why it has to fall on me. And it's not like I want to have to be involved with this at all. I basically just want to, like, I'm a teenager. I just want to, like, go to class and do some sports and, like I said, like, maybe get a girlfriend, but I can't,
So if you had, like, a normal life, not that any of our lives are normal, but if you have a normal life, you know, like, say one of your classmates at school, what would you be doing? What would your goals be?
I mean, yeah, I can't even imagine necessarily being able to graduate at this point. So yeah, if I could do that and just, you know, go out and get a job and have my own family that I live with, you know, that would be chill. But yeah, I honestly don't see any of that being possible.
I relate to Darian's. I think I also want, like, a normal life. I think that, like, things used to be better, you know. I think I might actually go back and see if I could get more information from the people who gave me the prophecy. Because, like, I think I'm probably going to go forward with it. I think my wife's probably going to, like, make me do it, to be honest. But the thing is, to be honest, and, you know, I just think life signifies nothing. Like, I think there's no meaning to it. And so when this prophecy came and meant something, it was like a big shock. But I want that. Like, I just want normal days with my wife, just chilling. But nothing is that anymore. So that would be nice. Maybe after all this is done, we can just go back to that kind of just normal days.
And I wonder, Christina, how your wife feels about all of that. I wonder if it would be worth talking to her about, just wanting those lazy, relaxed days back with her the way it used to be. Colin, Phoebe, is there anything that you'd like to share?
I will surrender myself and be defeated, but that extreme suffering won't be the end. And after that's fulfilled, I guess I can have a great time. And like, I feel like it will probably, it will like change everything. And so like, that will be helpful. Also might go meet up with my dad, like maybe get like a tattoo on my thigh. Maybe get like a horse or something like that. Go away for a long time. Like, yeah.
Sounds like you have a lot of thoughts of what things will look like afterwards.
Yeah, but I'll come back eventually.
Oh, that sounds really, really hopeful.
Yeah. So, just make sure that you remember me. You can even like eat snacks and pretend it's like my body. And that will just be so great for us.
Do you have like a vampire fetish or something?
I'm not familiar with vampire.
So I definitely will follow up with all of you after group just to check in and see how everything is going. Colin, is there anything that you wanted to share about the idea of, what would be different if this prophecy weren't a part of your life, or what you would want to do next?
Well, I honestly don't feel like the question applies to me because I have gotten past the prophecy already. The idea of this prophecy coming to fruition literally makes me want to gouge my eyes out. So it's not happening. And it sounds like everybody here has been able to just accept their prophecy or like their prophecy. Mine isn't good. So it's not. If this prophecy didn't exist, I'd be at home with my parents. And that would be cool. But I've made do and I'm moving forward. So I've accepted it.
And now you're at home with your wife.
Yes.
Not your
With my wife.
That makes me think of what Darian said earlier about found family.
Yes. I found
And I know you missed
that
it.
welcomed me with open arms. And I'm so glad to have found them.
Found your family.
Yes. They're like
hear
my
that, and I
family
feel-
now. They're like my family. I take the role of son.
And without that prophecy, none of that might have ever happened. You never might have gone to that city or met those people.
That's true.
Everything might have been
in a good place
different.
right now.
So maybe it is kind of like you are fulfilling it. Like, I don't know what the details are, but
What do
like,
you mean?
maybe like you said you were escaping the prophecy, and so then you ran to the city, and so like in that way the prophecy did influence your life. So maybe like this found family that you have now is exactly what the prophecy wanted you to find all along.
Metaphorically, maybe.
Yeah, like sometimes the things we fight against the most end up finding us anyway, and sometimes that fight and that struggle and that difficulty accepting what we're given, makes it happen.
Metaphorically.
Yeah. I know we're running out of time here. Before we wrap up, is there anything else that anybody wanted to share, or anything that came up for anybody as we were talking about all of this?
Because I think that definitely love and friendship, and that's what this is all about for me. Like, I do have something to live for, And I think a lot of us do.
I know a lot of people talk about something to die for, and I think having something to live for is just as powerful. And Phoebe, I heard earlier what you were saying about, wanting us to remember you and wanting us to, wanting to make a difference and an impact on the world that lasts beyond your years and lasts beyond your life. And I think everybody here really, people are going to remember your names and are going to remember, the sacrifices that you've made for the world. I definitely think all of us in this group, we all have so much in common and so much that's different. And I think I've kind of gotten to know and understand you all a little better.
I was just going to say, I wish we were all here in person, because it would be so nice to just eat together and
Yeah.
Before we do all this hard stuff that we have to do, I would love to just share with y'all. I would even give you foot massages.
I am always down for a big feast.
I've got a really
like Phoebe, really, really sharing communion together and understanding each other and being in person. So I would definitely encourage each of you to think this week about, if this prophecy didn't exist, if these expectations didn't exist, where would you be right now? What would be better? What would be worse? What would be different? What would you like your life to look like? And maybe even think about if there's any ways or any elements of that you can incorporate. Even if we can't change the circumstances of our life, we can control our actions and choose how we engage with the people around us and how we live our values to really be consistent with who we are as people, no matter what anybody else expects of us. And next week, we can kind of start there. I'm looking forward to talking to you all again next week.
That was fun.
Yay!
Dude, everyone was mad good. God damn, y'all were mad good.
That was so fun, dude.
Wait.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah, wait.
Allison, first of all, Allison.
Yeah, Allison has to guess.
Phoebe is obviously Jesus. Obviously. Obviously Jesus.
Yeah.
Christina's Macbeth.
Yep.
Yes.
Colin's Oedipus.
Yes. Solid.
And Harry Potter.
Yeah, solid.
Murat, I have no idea. I wrote down. Okay, Murat, are you Shinji from Evangelion?
No.
No. I wrote down
Wait.
Shinji.
Wait.
I wrote down Shinji. I wrote down Gatsby. I wrote down One Punch Man. I don't know who you are.
Think condoms.
Think
I don't know
dragging
about
his opponent around the building 7 times.
Oh! Never mind. You're silly.
Achilles, baby. Okay. Good. Solid.
All right. Here's the notes I wrote down for you. I wrote down you're the head of a company, like a business company.
Yeah, that's really off, and I even knew who the options were.
About modern day, that you went to a new branch and you had a condom business, and that your parents wanted you to join upper management, and that your boss is a dipshit. Your boss is a dipshit, and he should apologize to you, but you should apologize to him.
Yes.
And that you want to spend eternity with your partner. I get it now. You're killing me. That's okay.
Achilles, baby.
Yeah, no. You did a good job. I just didn't understand that you were a part of a condom business.
Damn, bro. Honestly, you did so well as a therapist.
Yeah, that was really good.
Right, it's my job. That's what I do anymore, so I hope.
Like that professional skills.
Yeah, it shows.
That's what I'm paying for.
I get paid for that, by which I mean you.
So I'm curious which one did you get first, or what tipped you off about different people?
I got it right away because I wrote notes, and for you, I just wrote Macbeth.
Dude.
And I'm trying to remember what tipped me off. I think it was just the fact that you had a prophecy and that it would mean you moved up in station. And then as soon as you mentioned your wife, I was just yeah, you're Macbeth.
I have a feeling that one too.
I had no idea for Murat like the entire time. Darian, as soon as you said you have a boy that runs on here, I was like, probably Harry Potter. But then you started talking about friends and school and found family, and I was like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Phoebe was very heavy-handed with the quote. And when you were like, Daddy, take it away. Take away the pain. I was like, okay. So,
Like, gouge eyes.
like, Father, why have you forsaken me? Daddy, why did you let me get hurt? Like, a little bit different flavor, but same vibe. Colin took a little bit longer because it's been a while since I've read Oedipus, but once you started talking about your parents and, like, you know,
Wife.
that, like, you know, that you and your dad, yeah. There's, like, things about parents in there that I was like, sounds accurate. Like, you left your parents, and then you're, like, the ruler of this new city, and your wife, had an ex that was, like, you know, a different guy.
Different guy.
So,
Different guy.
different
my
guy.
Yeah.
That was so fun. I had so much fun.
Dude. Sponsored by Trojan Collins.
Not as fun.
Really was.
No,